but this is Hurricane Party. Oh, we have a guest here, a fellow YouTuber. So while I'm getting ready and writing all this up, she just wants to say hi to everybody. Come on over. This is the shoot right here.
Am I in the
You're right here.
Hi, everybody. I'm so excited to finally meet Dr. Morse in person. I flew down from New York. I braved the hurricane, and I'm so glad that I made it. It actually turned out to not be quite so bad. Oh, sorry. Okay. So anyway, I braved the hurricane, and I'm so glad because Dr. Morse was going to...
We're just having a hurricane party today. Nobody else is here, but Shannon.
He was going to close the office today, and I said, I flew down from New York. Will you please still see me? So he made an exception.
And we don't let hurricanes stop us. Matter of fact, as soon as Charlie passed by, I was out there running around the neighborhood looking for, dodging the power lines and all that. But, we all get out and have hurricane parties.
Yeah, it turned out to not be too bad.
Not so bad. That's perfect.
And it was really funny because I went to the beach yesterday to Siesta Key
Siesta Key.
Yeah, to just check, because I came all this way. I wanted to see the beach, and it was like raining a little bit, and I had my umbrella, and like nobody else was using their umbrella. Like I was, the only one.
We're Floridians. We love hurricanes.
Everybody was laughing at me for using the umbrella.
Body surfing, and oh man, there's a lot of fun here. Well, we'll see you all later. I'm going to write this up so Chris can get this up for you Monday, and I hope you're doing well. Y'all, we love you very much, and you take care of yourselves and help heal your neighbors now. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. I hope this finds you well, each and every one of you. This is Monday morning, hurricane morning. Looks like we're not going to get so much. We've got some bands coming around and whopping us a little bit, but not too bad. I feel sorry for the Louisiana people. Looks like it's going straight that way. But I hope this finds each and every one of you well. Have you done your meditations this morning? Or contemplations? How you working on your spiritual lives? Always remember that. Always remember you come first. In a non-egotistical way, you're the living truth and the living reality of your world. And so, if you want your world to be better, you have to change it. We're giving you the tools on the YouTube, the Facebook sites, all the YouTubers involved, all the people becoming healers are involved. And so, come join us and let's become a very strong force to be reckoned with. The power of our healing is obvious. And I'm so far behind, so I'm going to be with you here for a couple of hours, and then I have an appointment coming in at noon here. She flew in, and I had to come and see her, of course. So even on a windy day it is not too bad out there, really. So it's really good to be with you this morning, and I hope you're all doing well. Those of you who are suffering, all I can say is that it can be a little bit of a process to unwind what you've created. I think the importance here is that you understand what's up. It's time in this civilization on this particular planet to rise up, and the opportunities are certainly there. A lot of us spiritual beings are bringing in truth at a level that this planet hasn't seen for a while, so it's all been set up and conditioned, and it's time to just awaken and, start giving love and seeing love and being love. I've always thought if you just be love, and this is why we put those little stickers on our detox boxes, be love. Because it helps you to understand that, and if you want to work in the present moment, being love will pull you to that present moment. But you can't be something you can define and be in the higher worlds of God. Definition is for creation. Undefinition is for the ultimate, the infinite. The finite is readily defined and as massive as it is. There's not much when you start looking at it intellectually. You'll see that we're babes in the woods. And if you'll see the swing, I think it's quite funny. Honey Boo Boo and Swamp Man. I think if you'll see the consciousness has kind of reached its intellectual peak, and you can stop and look around and see what the mind has done for man. So those of you who revere the mind, I suggest that you change and you revere the soul, revere the consciousness. The mind is just a tool, and look what it's done in an undisciplined state. The human consciousness is an undisciplined state, and it is working itself toward that, but whew, getting butts kicked. But let's get into this health issue, and we'll move along in that way. I will be focusing on some spirituality as we go along. I know there's some of you that don't care so much for that. I know most of you do. It's because it's interlocked. It's not about religion. It's not about belief systems. It's not about anything like that. You can believe anything you want. The problem with believing is limitation, and is, what if you're wrong? A lot of people believe that you in America are idiots and stuff. And there's all kinds of names people call each other worldwide. I think we ought to throw all that in the trash and just start being loved, because things are coming that need to be, we need to be ready for. So, but let's look at this. Let's look at some of these questions. You guys are writing some excellent questions, I think. I haven't seen every single thing in 40-some years. You'd think you would, but there's always something new. Definitely some of the medical terminology is way out there, even for this little old country boy. And I find it just idiocy that we treat our people that way, and moving people away from a position of awareness and of knowledge and of power, and putting it into the hands of the few that like to control. Nothing but an ego, and it just shows. The karma involved in that, of course, will strengthen those souls in ways that they will see. This is about a gentleman named Brent. Passed away, surrounded by his family. He was a great man. He gave it a try. He was in very serious trouble. Bowel obstruction, huge problem. That's just why I have to say that it's time, and I know some of you probably will yell at me for it, but it's time that allopathy be put in its rightful place, and that's not in front of the line. These people are pretty mad at allopathy and what they did to their man. I don't blame them. Always not their fault. Remember, a couple things is that we, the people, choose to eat in the ways that we do. And not being negative toward anybody, because no one's at fault. This is creation. This is the way it is. And we learn and we grow and we unfold, we expand, and, we develop. And even though all of those are really not true conceptions, because in reality you come from that which is. There is no need for knowledge. This is all materiality. It's just the game at hand, and the apparent need for this. We're showing you don't need the intellectualism, and how simplistic life is, and how well that approach does one in terms of happiness and joy and health and things like this. Those that want to play in the field of dreams, fine, but when it comes down and impacts on people, sad thing. We had a little 4-year-old in here the other day with a tumor behind his eye, and, the problem is allopathy, and this is really growing to the brain, so they can't remove it all. And then with what the latest study came out with chemo, how could they do chemo on a 4-year-old, knowing, of course, now the studies are out, so the parents could get a really good lawyer and go after them because of what the chemo showed. So that's left with radiation. And I don't think there's any physician that doesn't know that when you radiate the brain, you're going to be back in there with that. With that said, though, if they would step back, and if we can't get that out of that young man fast enough, but of course you're going to go in. But then we can go in with them. We can help. We can really clean up some of these areas that they don't get. If you remove most of the tumor, it still leaves a little bit, and you've got to correct this. I told them, Mom, you've got to correct the problem, or he'll grow another tumor if they take that one out. So we're facing this, and these are in the 3s and the 4-year-olds. So you can see why the infants are dying at a rapid rate here on this planet. The cancer rate in infants and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5-year-olds are never seen it like this. but you understand why, don't you? The high-protein diets, the dairy products, the infant formulas, the insurers that have the audacity to wrap their arms around the fruits in the refrigerator on a commercial, like an insurer has the same electrical and chemical composition as a fruit, that's suggested that it is as good or better than the fruit itself. And I think that's that sets that company up for a big potential for those that we need some action committees and hold these people to task for these things, because it's wrong information. It makes these poor mothers assume things subconsciously that isn't true, and then they're all feeding their babies, and here comes the tumors, here comes the lymph, because babies cannot handle high fat and high protein. And I will say this, we need to come off of this concept of high protein and high fat. That's what's killing people, and we've got to get away from it. And that includes the dairy products and all the dead animal tissues and things like that. If you want to eat some meat, fine. Do it once in a while. But when you're detoxing, keep in mind, this is about detoxification. If you want to be healthy and well, a few bites of dead animals a little bit a week is not going to kill anybody. I suggest the dairy products forever be gone and lost. So anyway, let's get to some of these questions here. Appreciate that. And this is Sunny Morrow. It's a big fan. Thanks, Sonny. Let me see. This is about, and I like this. This is about interstitial cystitis, which is inflammation which is what? Interstitial, meaning around the cells, right? Cystitis, bladder. So we're looking at acidosis in the wall of the bladder. You're probably going to count on it in the wall of the kidneys, in the wall of all these things. And one of his comments was, and it was a good comment, he healed himself from interstitial cystitis about 2.5 years ago. Most women who have interstitial problems have an extreme reaction to the subacid and acid fruits. And he's talking about this, and that he used greens to help him and things like this. And I concur that when you're highly inflamed, these things can irritate, so you have to be careful. This is why the tea, Sonny. This is why the slippery elm, the marshmallow, the heal-all tea, the stomach and bowels, all these are full of anti-inflammatory or antacid herbs. So they should buffer while the astringent action on the fruit. The problem is with the astringent action. Tannins are very astringent, if you hadn't noticed. And this is real important, though, because you must move this lymph system. So we're kind of between a rock and a hard place there in terms of filtering the kidneys and things like that. The bladder's right there. It's in the wall of the bladder. The urine could be way too acidic, who knows. But no matter what, you still have to detoxify. You still have to clean that out. I'll say this, that if you have interstitial cystitis and the acid fruits, come down generally when you're in a lot of pain, like arthritises and lupuses and fibromyalgias and things like this. Yeah, probably the acid fruits are a little bit too strong initially. Matter of fact, you can be very chronic, and people have to understand that arthritis is a very chronic state of lymph stagnation. These are chronic states. So we are actually, some of the acid principles in fruit are very powerful at helping move lymph. Believe this or not, it's all about variations of pH. And every variation of pH yields its own response, as it would. So getting into these multiple levels of pH variances and things, it's all about the zeta potential and variances and everything else. So you know, it's just all that's a mind teaser when you realize again that we have theories in place. And some of these theories we've dispelled some of these theories in actual clinical work. Clinical work is where it's what's happening. Not in books, not in colleges. In clinical work is where the facts are seen. You can see the difference and what happens. Let the biochemists figure it out at a certain point. I've tried. Now, interstitial cystitis deals with the kidneys and liver, which also has the seed of anger and fear, which these women have in abundance. Well, I want you to also think about the adrenal glands and the fact that people that have interstitial acidosis anywhere in the body has adrenals down, and that is the emotional side. You can have liver, if the lymph backs up into the liver, you can have an associated liver problem, but interstitial lymphatic constipation in the bladder doesn't necessarily mean you have it in the liver, but yes, it does. Now, what did I mean by that? I mean that when you have interstitial lymphatic constipation anywhere in the body, you have it systemically to one degree or another. And we were talking about that before, and the other day we were talking about it in here, and the differences is in the weaker areas. And we'll show you that the next time we do eyes, and we have a few saved up to do another one. I'll show you where these weak lacunas are, where these weakened areas in the eyes are, and you will see, and I've showed you this before, you'll see that lymphatic ring, that collar, even around these lacunas, that are very, that break down, that break down the tissue. So your weaker genetic areas always are problematic. So yes, Sonny, this is true, but at the same time, you've got to get them through. So you really use the subacid, of course, are the most gentle on the human body in terms of that. Your sweet fruits are always good, but at the same time, you're after moving lymph, and you've got to consider that. And you use your buffers. You use your slippery elms and your marshmallows, and you use things like that. There's no question that if a particular program is too strong on you, you know your body's better than we do. Cut back, slow down, that sort of thing. Some people are in trouble that have to get moving. I'll say this, if you've had it for a number of years, you're on the road to bladder deterioration, and you can't wait a long time. This is the other side of that. Waiting too long or going too slow can start to yield cancer cells, and you have to be careful. That's why I'm pretty aggressive at moving lymph, and I think it's appropriate to be that way in today's world. It's not like we just woke up to this and few people have a few weaknesses here and there and we're going to correct it. We have massive deterioration of the cell in the human race, and we have to turn it around. And a lot of you are turning it around. I mean, you guys are fantastic. You're phenomenal. Every one of you on YouTube, I love you all, guys. I'm proud of every one of you. We're always going to have controversy and see things a little differently in some cases, but that's okay. We're not seeing different on the interstitial, though, but in some cases I'll disagree maybe with someone or whatever, and that's just the way it is. The biggest issue is what is good detox and how can we get people through it. I've always thought we ought to keep thinking about how we can make it better on people and easier on people and more dramatic, or at least have more, a quicker filtration and everything else. But you see that no matter at what levels we're working at here, some are slow and some are fast, and I don't know how we can change that other than looking at better formulas and things like that, growing better food, more power to the food, more power to the the right formulas and stuff. We keep trying to make these formulas just kicking butt, and I think that's all we can do with that. And then one, get their spirituality in line, because your weaknesses is part of your dream. Your weaknesses in your body is part of your karma and what you're working out. And you accepted this when you accepted your body, and you're here and you already know it. Every one of you's probably had some degree of deja vu. And that's because you've already seen these pictures. You already know what's going down, a part of you, but the part of you that you're unaware of because you're using your minds too much to think. Stop thinking, and then you will come into play here. You'll start to see yourself, because now you're playing with your mind, and that's where you're looking. You're looking at your thoughts and images of what you want and desire. Well, when you break that desire and you decide that, you know what, I'm going to live a while without desiring anything. What do I need? Materiality breeds desire. Well, Buddha, Jesus, all the great saints, Mohammed talked about the desireless state and things like this. And so we've gotten trapped with materiality, and we have to change that and find a center of balance between intellectualism and pure consciousness for survival, that is. Oh yeah, this is Bartholomew. Love your videos, wondering why you had oral surgery. Well, I had implants there for about 30 years that finally gave way. And so I was working and kind of got whacked, and it kind of finished breaking my crown loose. So I've needed to go up in there, and I still have lymphatic problems. Let me tell you, after my first several years, and I've struggled through the years to be raw for a few years, then come back with cooked, and it's back and forth, back and forth. I'm not one of those guys that have been able to stay 100% fruitarian or raw for 40 years. And I don't know too many that really, if they were honest, could do it. I mean, David Wolf looks like he's put on a little weight. You see what I'm saying? And so let's don't beat each other up on it. We know the facts. Those of you that are older know the struggles. And those that tear into this, tear into it. Be a Puritan, but don't judge others, because your karma comes slap you. I fell into that. I judged others a little bit, not knowing. I thought I was just enthusiastic. And why can't you stay raw? I'm raw, ba. Well, you know what? I got my little butt kicked. And that ego of mine goes, oh, you didn't stay raw either. Look at that. So, you know what? Humility, humility, humility. Do your best. And in your clients, you push your clients and push your clients and push your clients down that raw and that fasting lane until you get them well. This is about finding Wellville. And I'm working on mine. I pump the herbs. I do all that myself. So, I'm healing good. Major surgery. 1 aspirin. Had to take that right after the surgery. That's it. That was it. No pain. Strong-willed. Yeah, I think he's strong-willed here. How does one know that he or she is fully detoxed? In your practice, how long does it take for one to clean out all the debris? I personally I don't know. I would say that you probably would have to be a good lifelong raw foodist, and not just a raw foodist, spend time fasting and fruit fasting and stuff like that, and I don't know. To be honest with you, I've seen people for years on this program. I run this little old lady. She was 74 when I met her, aggressive lung cancer after they did a mastectomy and shot her full of radiation and then left her to die. Well, I pulled her out of bed, out of pain, and kept her alive till she was 86. Couldn't get rid of those tumors. I don't know why, but they just little would come out, little come out. But we did a CAT scan every 6 months. That was her mandatory thing. And I don't know whether that held us back or what, but she lived till she was 86 and never died of the lung cancer. The medical doctors couldn't believe it. Aggressive lung cancer was just staying. It just held it in place. She buried her husband, buried her dog, and then she died. I told you about that one before. But I kept this 80-pound female alive for what, 74, 84, 12 years. And she was on full-bore herbs and raw foods most of the time. But even that, I had to give her some chicken noodle soup or something once in a while to keep her spirits up. Because when you're detoxifying people, and you might be strict yourself, but don't put your strictness on other people or you'll lose your practice. I've been through ups and downs with this sort of thing for years. And if you're too strict on people, you can lose them. And that's not the game. The game isn't to overpower and to push people. The game is to inform people and let the individual ride the ride themselves. It is important. If you start riding your clients' ride with them, you're getting their karma with them, and that's not good. We've all created our own worlds, and we're here to just help people, but don't take on people's karma. It's not a good thing. You can get emotionally involved, and I love everyone here, and that's my problem. And it kicks our butt here because every one of us get a little emotionally involved with everybody, especially the kids. So it can pull us. It really can. You have mentioned beneficial effects of kelp. Is eating seaweed salad once in a while recommended or not? I love seaweed salad. I don't like seaweed taste at all. I never was a fish eater at all. I can't stand the taste. But I can put it in a capsule, not the fish, but the seaweed, the kelp. And I think kelp is, I think the sea is going to be our last frontier if we're not careful. And I hope not. We can get up this the surface here cleaned up and start raising some good food. But I think in all ways, the dulse, the kelp, the nori, all this stuff is really beneficial for people, because the average human definitely has some thyroid, parathyroid issues to some degree. The congestion of the dairies and these high-fat, high-protein formulas for the kids have literally clogged their chests, their lungs, the bronchi, the sinuses, and if you notice, these kids constantly are picking up mucus. You shouldn't constantly spit up mucus. When you have mucus and things like this just shows you the food you're eating is not good for you. That simple. Any food that gives you mucus, immediately your body's telling you, I don't want it. Immediately. That simple. And it doesn't matter what it is. It can be good. Now, there is the pulling of mucus from fruits. There's no question about that. It'll actually pull mucus, and real strong greens will do the same thing. Also, if consuming nuts, do they have to be germinated? Be better for easier digestion. I know your take on nuts, but sometimes I crave them. Well, it isn't. After detox, who cares? You know, my problem is I put on a lot of weight there at one time, sucking down the nuts because I opened up health food stores. They were raw. But, you know, you can just handfuls of almonds, pecans, pine nuts. I used to go through Pignolia nuts like they were no tomorrow. I love those. Give me a big handful of pine nuts and raisins. But, you know, you can overdo it. You can overdo it. And this is the problem. You can put on some hefty weight eating healthy. So you have to, you know, there's a balance with everything, that's for sure. Yeah, you're right on, strong-willed. You're right on, my friend. How does the urine have to look in order for kidneys to be filtering? And if kidneys are not filtering well yet, how to speed up that process? Good questions. Well, the thing is, we talked about this before. The urine's probably going to be a little whitish yellow, and the white's coming from all the sediment in it. I think most of us have seen times when our urine looked like it was whitish and full of sediment. For men, when they urinate in the toilet, the urine's going to travel toward the bottom of the toilet. Women, unfortunately, are going to have to take a look with the jar. Men should look with the jar because I did that living in my van. I had a jar I had to pee in. I lived in a bathroom in a Volkswagen camper van, so at night I had to pee in a jar, and the next day, you know, throw it and clean it out. I mean, that's what you do when you live in a little van. But I always check my urine. Just that's the thing, you know. What's in there? What's coming out of me? You know? Part of the driving force of getting well. Brandon Vox, my man. Hey, I'm really interested in becoming a healer. What naturopathic school do you suggest? I currently live in the Bay Area, Cali, and heard that Bastyr University in San Diego, California is a good school, but very academically challenging. Any suggestions? And you know what's interesting with the academically challenged is that the people that come out of that school aren't necessarily very good healers. No offense, Bastyr, but you know, you guys tried to get me ginseng, and we told you why. And this is the problem, is that you're not true naturopathic school. You're not naturopathy. You're naturopathic medicine, which basically you or Southwest basically created this coined word. Naturopathic medicine, it's an oxymoron. So I have no respect for Bastyr or Southwest at all. These are medical doctor wannabes, and that's just not our field. You have to augment that field, naturopathy or something like that, something else that you can use. But using naturopathy at the same time you use naturopathic medicine is just like, you know, two tractors pulling against each other. It's ridiculous. So I have to accept that now, that we have naturopathic medicine, which is supplemental deficiencies and supplements and things like this. And that leads nowhere. The average naturopath on this planet can't cure crap any more than a medical doctor can. So I'm on my own field because we've lost sight, because the medical influence again. The intellectual and medical influence. Oh, we want to be well recognized. We want to be, you know, we want to have academics up so the world recognizes us. Bull crap. You want to start healing people so the world recognizes you. Not you want to be academically smart. Academically smart most of the time means you don't have much common sense. And that's the problem. And so if you don't get to these level of healings for humans on this planet right now, this is where naturopathy needs to be right now, then unfortunately we've got some serious problems in naturopathy or naturopathic medicine. And the last week alone, there was 2 different clients been to naturopathic physicians, and both recommended high protein diets. And I will say this to every naturopath out there: you recommend a high protein diet, why don't you turn into your degree and go play with the American Dietetics Association somewhere? Go become some nutritionist somewhere where nobody cares if you hurt them. You know, this is ridiculous. You cannot do high protein diets, period, end of story. We're not nitrogen prince. I've said this over and over and over. And you're getting in trouble using these high-protein diets. And I'm getting your clients, and I don't want them. You need to take care of them. That's why you're a naturopath. Unfortunately, or fortunately, the YouTubers are kicking all the naturopaths' butt. And I love it. Half the people on the Facebooks can cure better than most naturopaths thought they could. So, Brandon, when you want to go to a naturopathic school, I would rethink that, my friend. It's got a dirty name on itself. I'd go botanicals. I would learn all I can about herbs. Take a botany course. Play with this. Have fun with this. Learn to be herbs. Nobody bothers herbalists. And become an herbalist. And then become you're already raw food, so become the herbalist. And whatever little degrees you want to add to that, and just add to that repertoire. But I think the future is just like the future except for the power of the AMA, the future of pharmaceuticals was pharmacists, and should rightly be. All pharmaceuticals should always be in the hand of a pharmacist, because pharmacists have the knowledge for that. Herbalists have the knowledge for the herbs, and you see how that is. So I wouldn't fall into that. Also, to be with your, can you give me kind of a path to follow? Your videos, books, teachings have literally changed my life. Oh, thanks, Brandon. You're a good man here. Brandon's talking about something else here, and I want to go over this here, because he said, "Hey, Doc, I have a long list of allergies: eggs, meats, dairies, grains, yeast, coffee, soy, amines, alcohols, pollens, weeds." And it just goes on and on and on. Moles, fungus, dust mites, cats, dogs, hydrocarbons, perfumes, fabrics, leathers, pools, spas, chemicals. Yeah, me too. And a lot of those are neurotoxins too. You know, just like the moles and the fungus and the hydrocarbons and the perfumes and some of the fabric stuff, pool thing. These are neurotoxins big time. Well, you'll know that the lymph system, of course, is your immune system, is your sewer system, and that's the system that all allergies come from. Keep in mind, the body doesn't have endless systems to it. We don't have this system, that system, and we don't, it's very simplistic if you look at it. And you notice that when someone's lymph system is backed up the most, this is where you're going to find the allergies. You're going to find the tumors and the cysts and the pains and the swellings. You're not going to find them in the blood areas until the lymph starts breaking down the tissues responsible for the blood: spleen, bone marrow, liver, stuff like that. So cleaning the lymph system cleans all of these allergies away. Matter of fact, some chemical associated with these you have in your body, probably something close to it. It's kind of like sulfa drugs. You get too much, then you're allergic to it. When your cup's full, that's all the body can take, that sort of thing. So detoxing the lymph system cleans all these allergies out of the body, if we could use that word. It's just that this is all about sewage and acidosis and that effect on the way you respond to chemicals. And chemicals, I mean, look at the chemicals we inhale just walking on the planet in one day. Driving in the car and going to gas stations and everywhere else, the hydrocarbons and everything else. Just look at what we breathe in, the perfumes, the deodorizers in the bathrooms. Look at all the things that we breathe in here that if your lymph system's bad, you don't necessarily get out. So these accumulate in tissue and respond, especially the neurotoxins. That's going to have a slam on the autonomic system, or on all the nervous systems, and then everything goes down. Plus more. Since the beginning of February 12, my question is, what were all of these allergies a result of? Okay. P.S. I got this list of allergies from a chiropractor I used to go to. I just want to make sure once I am fully detoxed that I'll have no more allergies. Absolutely. Absolutely, my friend. Absolutely. And bring up that. I'll see you November 13th. Go, Brandon Fox. November 13th. That's Brenda's birthday here. Look at that. Party town. But always on allergies, too. Get your adrenals up. I mean, that's a big part of the lymphatic system. Your steroids, all of that. So all of that plays a role, if you will. Now, this is Sweetly. I like that. Don't make me laugh. I got no teeth. sweetly. With regard to mental illness, I recently watched an interview with Michael Monk. Energy worker says he knows what schizophrenia is and how to heal it. I've also been hearing a lot about Epsom salts, magnesium. That is the #1 relaxant, antidepressant. How have you any experience with MAGSOLPH? Mag. Then you for these great. Oh, thanks a lot there, man. I want you to think about this. I want to go back to this because we've talked about this before, and that's chemistry. You would be far better off if you did not play in the world of chemistry and you played in the world of botanicals. Use the California poppies, the valerians, whatever herbal formula even with those in there that will help you, flower essences, while you're going into your body and you're fixing these problems. If you look at, and I just really hate to use the word mental health. I really hate that word. I just think it's just got so much of a bad rap, and that most people's problems come from the endocrine gland side of the body, and deals with hormones and steroid problems, and reaches into, remember, calcium utilization and depressions and stuff like this. Your anxieties are the adrenals, so you tend to be labeled bipolar when you have thyroid, parathyroid, and adrenal weaknesses, things like this. Absolutely. And then, of course, there's the individual soul and their past journey, and yes, there's all of this. It just comes down on a person. However, using magnesium only serves to push out your calcium. Remember, magnesium, twin sister to calcium and the older sister to phosphorus. High magnesium pushes out calcium and phosphorus, even the little brother, which is part of matrix, bone matrix. So even though it's an acid, you can't push him out. You got to have a little bit. So these are all fundamentally set in nature, and for a man to start playing with isolates like this, I try to push this heavy, get away from this kind of thinking. It does not serve the human race well, because it always creates us playing with chemistry. We're either destroying animals' lives by playing with chemistry. We can't just play with chemistry without hurting something, and that's part of the problem. Is that we need to take a look at what nature has provided and use that to those tools. And, you know, there's all kinds of arguments about all of that. We wouldn't be where we were if we hadn't done chemistry, and I concur with all that. But I think we've reached a point where we should realize that intellectually, electronically, and everywhere else, we're out there pretty good. We need to bring in the balance of spirituality now. Without that balance of spirituality and love and all this, we're getting hard. We're getting hardcore. We're shutting off people's rights. The government's just becoming hardcore. And like the federal judge said in Texas, and I like this federal. I don't think it was a federal judge. He was a state judge, I think, or a county judge. And this judge said, if Obama gets reelected, there's going to be a revolution. And boy, he got hit for that one. What I think this government probably realizes, because I'm aware of FEMA people and stuff, is that there's tens of thousands of Americans that would like nothing better. And these cops that get aggressive against them, that's not going to last much longer, guys. Getting aggressive over people like that's not going to keep working, because you're just going to get back what you're given. See, you get back what you give, and I see it myself respond to that too. You know, having a body on this planet and seeing the oppression, you want to help, and it can get pretty gnarly. It's time for everybody to wake up and stop what they're doing. Stop taking rights away from people. All the dictators get down, because you know the guy in Syria, he's going to be killed one of these days. He's fooling himself. They're going to string him somewhere. So it's just, you know, we need to change the whole planet. And I think with the health issue, people are constipated, they're eating meat, they're angry, their livers are toxic from meats, their bodies are putrefactive and acidic. Once we get this stinky, nasty stuff out of people's diets and clean up their lymph systems, everybody should be sweet. This is K.A. Free to see. Free to see. I love that. Free to see. Absolutely. Well, the average person doesn't realize that they are free to see. They don't need any exterior influence they're free to see. Each one of us are free to see at any time we would like. It's just a matter of, do we want to see, isn't it? I am new at this and recently have been enjoying your videos. Thanks, my dear, which is changing my reality. I hope so, because we get some fun and some higher realities, huh? My story is that I started by a 20-day water fast. Boy, that's pretty good. Now, listen to this, guys. This individual started a 20-day water fast to fix my varicose veins. It didn't work, and when I started to eat cherries and berries, I had a hemorrhoid which became 2 times bigger and gives me a lot of pain. I also have a lot of pimple on my back and not comfortable to go on the beach. Don't want to do surgery for varicose veins or the hemorrhoid. What is your suggestion? This is a really good question. We've answered this many times, but the way our videos are put up, and again, I can't even thank those people or that gentleman enough for indexing this. A lot of work. I want to pay you in some way for doing this and helping us. So, but just incredible work. I mean, indexing. Oh my God, what a job! Holy crap! But why didn't that fix it? A water fast fix that problem? Because a water fast couldn't fix that problem yet. We've got to go in and take a look at this individual's parathyroid gland, because what we are seeing here in this person is a high acidosis where the body's leaching calcium to keep a pH balance in the blood, and therefore she's been consuming too much acid foods. Because remember, you've got the blood to deal with, and when you eat, that goes right into the blood if it's absorbed properly through the bowel wall. So what you have, if you're absorbing too many acids, the body's response is going to let's find some calcium. Let's find a base chemistry to keep that homeostasis of the pH, which is on the base side. So it sounds to me you have a parathyroid issue going on here, dear one, and you've got hemorrhoids and varicose veins. My hemorrhoids did the same thing to me. I had hemorrhoids growing up because I drank milk. I didn't realize milk was so constipating. It locked me up like a drum. And I would always rip myself and bleed and everything else because I didn't know. No one said anything. And so the pimples on the face and everything else tell you, sweetie, that if this is a female or male, same thing, guys, sweetly. Just realize that this is your lymph system and it's backed up all through you. And you need to get your kidneys and adrenals on and going there. I submit to you that, it's on the face here. It means your lymph system's backed up in the head area. Well, there's the pituitary, here's the thyroid, parathyroid. Here's your jaw, here's your teeth. Here's your eyes. So all these things get affected. I've had so much congestion growing up from the dairy products. It's just unreal. And years of detox. I haven't been perfect, but still, it just gets you sometimes, But this is another case where this person has to take a real good look at the thyroid, parathyroid. If they're female problems or male problems, you might take a look at the pituitary here. By anyone that has hemorrhoids and goes on a raw food diet, your chances of the hemorrhoids coming out twice as bad is there. I can just tell you, it did me. I thought I was going to die, but when you go through that cycle, it'll get better. I'll say this: use lower circulation, use a lot of fruits and berries for the flavonoids. They're real strong at healing the vascular walls. I would do a little Calma Plus or a little parathyroid popper there. If you don't want to do that, a lot of kelp and stuff like that. Get the bones formula to help strengthen the connective tissue and any skeletal tissue. But we're talking about connective tissue here. The bones formula would be very helpful. Aside of that, get on your lymph system. That's what's going on. You're losing calcium to acidosis, whether it's dietary related or it's systemic. And with the head breaking out with pimples, it just tells me you're not moving your lymph system well, my dear, and really need to do that. You're up in the face here, and nothing ever good comes of lymph stagnation in the head. So I want to get that moving, and you'll be good. So get on that fruit, berry, and melon diet, and get on the herbs for the kidneys and the bowels and the lymph systems and the endocrine glands. Go after it. This is Catherine Seabright. I have a friend with cancer who is convinced that the Gerson diet works. How can I explain to her that the consumption of fruits, berries, and melons and herbs is far superior in healing power than vegetables and coffee enemas? No kidding. Like a mile difference. I know it. I don't know what to say. You know, she's got focus in that direction. I guess let her. She remains unconvinced, and I am worried for her. She has leukemia. Well, first of all, this is Kate. Leukemia, one of your easier cancers, in my opinion. Again, let's put this in context. We are not here to treat cancers because that's medical doctors. What they treat, they can't cure. So we don't want to treat anything because the treatment of a condition means you can't cure anything, right? Right. So you want to understand what's causing that leukemia. Now, is the white blood cells elevated? That would be the best leukemia there is. Just detox the client, get into the kidneys, get into the lymph system, clean up the spleen a little bit, clean up the liver. There's herbs for bone marrow, but she's got plenty of white blood cells. That would be perfect. Now, on the other hand, if this is a low white blood cell count case, much worse. That is more indicative of bone marrow or spleen. If the platelets, of course that's spleen too, or bone marrow are down, then you know one of the two, you're going to go after both of them anyway. I'm going after bone marrow and I'm definitely going after spleen. So you would go after these issues, but blood is by far easier to clean up than tumors in the brain, things like that. Definitely much easier. And so coffee enemas serve no one, just an overstimulation of the liver and the gut. That's not really cleansing, because this is duality. Duality dictates that 1 minute you're up, the next minute you're down, right? Things are positive, things are negative. So if you live in the middle where you don't care whether something's good or bad, then nothing ever is good or bad for you. See? If you're living in the present moment, things just are. There's no definition of whether I like it or I don't like it, because that generally defines good or bad. And so you're free from that. And so that's kind of that whole thing. But you really want to get on the fruits, berries, and melons. Far superior than vegetables, especially full of flavonoids and antioxidants. Everybody's hollering about antioxidants. Well, look at your fruits, berries, and melons. You can't get any better than that, especially high flavonoids. Everybody's doing the intravenous vitamin C crap. Why wouldn't you be on fruits, berries, and melons? This is where you find the most intensity of these forms of chemistry. Doesn't make any sense if you're not. So, Kate, try to save your friend there. If not, you can just do the best you can. Gerson has had some success at helping people, no question about it, so I'm not too negative on him. But this many times, they need to get their head out of their butts and get up on these higher levels. We need to be at these higher levels. You are seeing that. You're seeing that through every one of you that got yourselves out of pain and everything else. Yes, sometimes we have to go right, and sometimes we have to go left, and yes, sometimes we add vegetables, and sometimes we don't. But true deep tissue work is going to be a fruit, berry, and melon experience, and you're right on, Katie. This is Laura. Hello, Dr. Morris and team. Thank you for all you do. Appreciate the comments, dear. We really appreciate the comments. I appreciate it. We're working so hard to help people, you know. I appreciate it so much, and I always look forward to your videos. I'm speaking the word, thanks, sweetheart. I had a question about a sunspot I have on my face. I've had it for over 10 years and I hate it. Is this a pituitary problem? Everyone is always trying to wipe it off my face and it makes me very self-conscious. Hugs and kisses to you too, Lori. Well, I don't know. I don't know what kind of spot it is. I'll say this. Keep cleaning those tissues out, lymphatically speaking. Remember, the skin is hooked right to the lymph system. It's a third kidney. So keep cleaning that lymph system. Make sure your thyroid, parathyroid, pituitary, look at your eyes. Make sure your transverse bowels cleaned up. If there is a pituitary problem and that's some form of vitiligo, absolutely. You can have all kinds of spots on the skin from all kinds of things, from fungus to virals to all kinds of things, because the skin is reflecting the putrefaction and fermentation that's going on inside. So, yeah, we grow all kinds of things on us. We create all kinds of sunspots and stuff like this. Now, this could show you that this is a lymph stagnated area and you've damaged some cells in that area and you hold that redness and stuff right there. And again, moving lymph. Hot and cold applications would be suggestive there. You could use our Heal All. We don't have it right now. Company ain't making it for us right now, but our Heal All salve is really good for that. A comfrey salve might be good for that as well, but definitely hot and cold applications, and get that lymph and blood stirring through those tissues and see if you can make a difference. At the same time, you're going to be moving your lymph and making your body healthy internally, and all these type of things start fading away from you and going away. So have fun there, Lori, and thanks for all the love you got there, sweetheart. This is another one on Brandon Fox. I could use that paper clip. I want to address this. This is one beautiful card. Isn't that a beautiful card? Look at that. Wake up, man. I've been pumping since 6 this morning. Dear Dr. Morris, let's see, it's been a while. I was doing fabulous for quite a while, but got wore out on an infection from my yard. I never understood why my immune system suddenly went crazy in 1980, but I know now. There's a reason Dave Wood from Indiana called me and asked about my vertebrae. You guys are good. Dave, you're good, man. Pleasure talking with you the other day, Dave. But no, you guys are really good. And I really, I think all of you can feel proud that you're being a vehicle for the Creator that created the beauty of all of this, that you're being a love channel for that entity. And I'm just, you know, it's just the best thing you can do for yourselves. I personally thought it was a miracle, but upon further investigation, the answer is a transplant. I was not told I received cadaver pots, disc, and vertebrae in 1980. It was an 8.5-hour surgery with 2 separate surgical teams in Atlanta, Georgia. I had also received 3 blood transfusions. The hospital called me back and said there was a problem. Oh, that can't be good. This is the hospital and we have a problem. Oh, yeah? I mean, that doesn't sound always good. But being young and not understanding, I said I couldn't come back. I had no one to leave my daughter with again. Oh. I had just spent 3 weeks in the hospital, gee, many Christmas, and left her with a couple for 3 weeks. I was home in bed for months. Wow, this person's been through hell. Oh, it's Leslie. Hi, Leslie, absolutely, sweetheart. Anyway, I suffered greatly from that decision for 9 years and more surgeries until I found naturopathic medicine, which ended all the madness, but not curing the problem. Dr. Morse, is there healing, total healing for people who had organ transplants? Oh, Dr. Morse, is there healing, total healing for people who had organ transplants? Absolutely. But you must accept that consciousness of that material. I had bone implants because growing up my sinuses were so backed up I used nose drops. Well, that's toxic. And then they decayed my sinus bone here. So all of this is, you know, part and parcel. And I've been trying to grow back bone. Again, you got to move lymph. And this is, again, all of our problems is getting into these areas that are breaking down, getting to that lymph system. But you must accept the transplant. We've worked on, I'd say, a good dozen transplants in my life, from kidneys to livers to all kinds. And we've never had any problem whatsoever. Bone and cadaver bone, you must, in your consciousness, make your body one and not feel antagonistic to that in the mind, because the mind is very powerful. So you want to accept all parts. Who cares? It's just your physical body, not you. You're using your physical body, but it's just made of parts, just like your car is. Need a new part? And if you notice, that's a medical consciousness. Need a new part? We'll make you one. And that's where we're going with stem cell and everything. We make you a new heart? No, I think I'll take care of the one I got. But yeah, you want to make me one? Okay. I mean, this is where we're going. And that's the thing, is that that means that the health isn't going to get any better, and that'll only go so far, and the human race won't even be around to transplant. So absolutely. and get that parathyroid up, get that lymph moving. Why does bone break down? Why does connective tissue break down? Why do you have calcium loss in the first place? And this is in the lumbar area. I already know, Leslie, I'm pretty sure. And that's, of course, that's your kidneys. And this is just typically what we're seeing a lot of times in spinal bifida and other cases. Are you not dealing with two different DNA systems fighting against one another? You know what? You're dealing in God. You know, make it all God. Make it all one. Make it all one. And everything will come together and become one. You know, the adaptation of things. If you hadn't noticed, the human body is a major adapter. I'm for man to survive at diets this many generations and at this acidic and this low and this congesting to the human body. I mean, it's taken us a lot of hundreds of years to get here, but we're now it's spiraling out of control. And this is why it's so important that every one of you help others and join the teams of getting people healthy. Who cares what the medical doctors think? Who cares what people think? We just get people healthy. They'll wake up. They'll start looking around and going, oh my God, there is a better way. A little disciplined, but a better way. But you would want to use the Bones formula with that. You would want to get the parathyroid up with that. And at the same time, you want to fix why you have the deterioration. Always going to be the lymph system. And always going to have kidneys and adrenals involved. And then particularly at any L3, 4, 5, 6. I need a miracle. No, you need a healthy body, dear. A real miracle from the real creator. While your diet changed my life, I still have a war going on inside my body. Confident disappearing like crazy. Well, I remember your lymph system, Leslie, sweetie. Hope you're doing well, and Brenda too. You taught me so many things. Thank you, my friend Leslie. You are a sweetheart, dear one. Do not give up. Just let that transplant absorb in. Just absorb into that. Let that become you. Don't be antagonistic to the transplant. Get that lymph moving, because I know what your body looks like, and your lymph system's a mess. Now, Brent, hey, Dr. Morris, it is wonderful to be able to ask you a question. Well, I'm humbled that I can give you an answer. I hope it's one for you. I got so many questions to answer here. I'm in here for about 2.5 hours. Let me see, we're at about 10:30 now. So in about 1 hour and 15, I'm going to have to cut off here and write this up so he can get it up first thing. No one's here today. The hurricane season, today, and so everybody decided to take off, and it's beautiful out. I said, why are you all closing down? We're too busy to close down. Floridians, when they get a chance to stay home. First question. After seeing attached picture of red, quote, honeycomb-like pattern on leg, question, can you perhaps give a second opinion on this for my friends, since the doctor said that they have no clue what it was and still got your fat check? Still got their fat check. Any idea that causes this in particular, or what is it? Let me show you this, because I'll go on reading it here. Extra info in case you need it. I asked her a few questions, and here is what I found out. It's not a rash. It's under my skin, more like veins maybe, but it's not varicose or spider veins. It's trippy, and it looks like I'm turning reptilian. Now, I promised I wouldn't talk too much about reptilians. Can you see that skin? You see that skin right there, real wrinkled and reptilian? I want you to realize that acidosis can convert, mutate, warp, can do anything to tissue. This isn't a blood problem. You can tell that it isn't veins. It's a lymph problem, and you can tell that. This is the lymph system. So you got to go back to that lymph system and really clean it out, and that skin will do real well. But I would sure do a lower circulation. I'd do hot and cold applications, and at the same time I'd go the kidneys, the lymphs, the GI tract, clean up the bowels, and really clean up that body. I'd probably stay on Parasite M for a little while and clean that up too, my friend. And that ought to clean that up real nice for them. If not, You could good. I had a guy in here one time that swore to God was part alligator, but got him cleaned up pretty good. I had another young lady, poor thing, she had psoriasis so bad she was nothing but scales. She was only like 15 years old, head to toe. Every time she walked, she split and bled, and she left nothing but a trail of dead tissue, you know, skin around. I tell you, in under 2 or 3 months, I think it was, I had it all gone, but to the tips of the fingers. That was pretty good. Threw her in the ocean and really cleaned her lymph system out. Same thing. Same thing. And you don't have to put a name to it. That's what acids do. They can scale the skin. They can ripple the waves. They can make fibroids, tumors. Can augment anything. Augment the bones. Augment your fingers. I mean, acids are corrosive. So they really don't have any, anything they can't do in terms of breaking things down. She has had this for a year. It started on her leg, but is now appearing on her arm, opposite side of body. Diet, no meat, very little dairy, mostly fruits and veggies, but drinks a lot of Monster energy drinks. Whew, boy, I tell you what, it's scary out there. And when you're dealing in chemistry and these drinks and all this stuff, it's just all scary. You don't know what chemicals she's ingesting in these things and what's going on in hyperstimulations and things like this, neurological hyperstimulation and stuff. Get away from these. Health has to be at the cellular level. Energy is dynamic and at the cellular level. It's an ATP experience and neurotransmitters and serotonin. This is energetics. Different levels of energetics, but you really want a cell energy, and that's an ATP experience. You want the cell, whether it's a neuron or what, you want energy at the cell. Every cell has to have its energy plant. You want dynamic cellular energy, and you have to have digestion, absorption, utilization, and elimination to achieve these things. The 4 most important things you never want to forget is the person digesting their foods properly. Pancreatic, hepatic, liver. Are they absorbing? Do they have interstitial lymphatic constipation? In other words, is their lymph system backed up in the gut wall? If it is, they're not absorbing, malabsorption. Are they utilizing? Well, everybody has their adrenals down, so I can tell you no. That's why naturopathic medicine took off, because they're focusing on deficiencies. You can't focus on a deficiency until you fix utilization factors. That wouldn't be appropriate, because you wouldn't know whether zinc or selenium was it was a steroid problem. You cannot guess that. And then by giving the isolate of that, trying to supply a deficiency consciousness only leads to imbalanced chemistry and ever more. And then no one cures anything at that level of thinking. People feel a little better. Here's one. Listen to this. Ankles are swollen long before it appeared. What could that be? And a medical doctor couldn't tell you? I mean, what role does the skin play? Same part of the same system that swells the feet when they go down? Kidneys. Swollen feet is always kidney failure. What does the old people die from? Kidney failure. Swollen ankles. Oh, I'm sorry, that's called diabetes. I mean, give me a break. This is part of the problem. Of course, when the kidneys go down, what's going to go down with it? Yes, the adrenals. Now, what role does cortisol play in the adrenal? Oh, sugar metabolism. So you could have sugar metabolism. Let's call that a disease. We got to get away from, see how we got to get away from these kind of thinkings, because it's trapping. It's entrapment, and it makes a person flip right back to the medical profession and find some remedy for that, which there is none. There's only treatable remedies, and those are all not good. You can't spend your life on insulin and not lose your beta cells. Come on. Second question, what are the problems that can arise from the chronic consumption of Adderall or similar types of stimulant drugs? Well, isn't Adderall now one of the bad drugs? I don't remember. I tell you what, they all become bad drugs at one time or another. I mean, it's unreal here. Some of these, like I said, burn up bone marrow. So, chemicals are only designed to be stat need, that means emergency need, and short-term use. And if anybody can't see that, I'm sorry, and particularly medical doctors, they're not responsible. They don't take responsibility. That's why they're sued all the time. They need to belly up. And when you're using toxic chemicals and drugs, you got to take responsibility. That's why I'm in favor of pharmacists controlling chemical medications. You know? And what herbal formulas to help with the digestion, to work on whatever glands this Adderall has weakened, affected. Again, just what we're talking, the kidneys, the adrenals, get them in shape. When I was a kid, I was put on drugs to control my behavior starting at 8, Ritalin. Then shortly after, Adderall. I have been on Adderall off and on with long periods of on time. I am now 23. After seeing your videos, I am totally motivated to get off and have been off of them for 5 weeks. Go. I'm right behind you, my man. I'm on your side. Let's go. Let's get your body back in shape. They destroyed my mood and temper, and I feel happier off of that. Absolutely. Go into your glands, my friend. Get your glands healthy. Nothing like feeling healthy and good, robust glands. You're feeling good. You tear it apart. You got energy. You can swing from the trees. I'm sure the primates are looking over to the Homo sapiens going, oh, look at those guys, man. They're all sick. They can't even swing from a tree. However, when I come off of Adderall, I'm very sluggish and tired, happy but unmotivated. Got to hit into the adrenal glands. Got to get at the endocrine glands, man. That's what the glandulars. If you've been on toxic chemicals and you're mad because you have to take a glandular, don't be. It's a good step down. Once you step down off the glands, now you're off of animal products and you're good. But for those that have been on some of these, though, the glands are the only fast way to make up and help you there sometimes. And that's where I would be. I'd be using that adrenal glandular and, check my thyroid and parathyroid particularly. Look for all the calcium-related issues, and that's the depression and stuff. And just get my lymph system. You really can see here. I have constipation issues when I'm not on mostly fruit. Well, again, we can go back to the adrenals and neurotransmitters. The lower the adrenal function, the lower the neurotransmitter production, the lower the autonomic response. That's common. Same thing in serotonin's in the brain, same thing. Sounds like your adrenals are really down. If this is you on your leg, that just fit. If not, same type of thing though. This person, the adrenals are down. This is so important because there are so many kids being put on these things. No kidding. I know. And you know what's funny? We load people up with neurotoxins over here with vaccines. Then we treat them with all the Ritalins and all the antipsychotic drugs. And then we, it's insane. It's insane. And now in America, you have to buy into their system or pay $2,000 a year to be free thinker. Yeah, it gets me, boy. I tell you. That riles some of these old bones up. Your relentless effort to assist all those people and the fact that you have answered thousands of questions. Oh, listen, thanks, man. Thanks. Hey, you take off for that. Here's another picture of this on their leg. Can you see that okay? So it's just lymph. And it can affect all levels of skin and all of that. This is Tanya. I wrote a couple of months ago and listened to each video, but it seems this little email got lost in the mix. Sorry about that, sweetheart. It's possible. It's real possible around here. That's why I say if things take too long and you feel your question is real important, just call up and get a quick answer. We don't want too much because, the line, we're trying to keep up with it. But if this is real important, it's very impactful to one's health. Don't wait till these videos because I'm getting better positioned to do more of them and more often now, but there for the last couple of months, I haven't been in a position to keep you up timely on these, so I apologize. But I like keeping you up with these so you guys can get your help real quick. First of all, thanks, I appreciate that. I do, I appreciate your love, Tanya. I have dealt with eating disorders for years. Have had stomach issues a lot, and esophagus and stomach are eroded. Yeah. And remember, this is something I think is so vital that we have to understand is the interstitial lymphatic constipation concept. To understand that that your GI tract is part of the trunk of a tree that makes up the human body, and that it's all tied together. All branches, all things are related. And the lymph system and the blood and the nervous system are systemic. Those three forces of energy are universally everywhere in your body. Blood, nerve, and lymph. Blood, nerve, and lymph. Blood feeds them. Lymph cleans them. Nerve moves them. That's simple. That's simple. But even the nervous system requires health. And it all requires good blood and lymph flow. That's the bottom line to it all. You can reach out and you can go on these different levels and side effects and everything, but bottom line is blood and lymph are the two main interstitial fluids that control basically everything. pH balances, ionization factors, oxidation factors. All these factors take place on all these variances of pH. So you've got all these, like I said, zeta potentials, you got all these variances, you got all these things to think about. Well, you can think about all those things and be happy, because then you're thinking about, look at this, everything's going on, okay, no. Can't think that way, or you'll be so lost in the woods, and that's what's going on. Some of these people are too far down the road in woods that it doesn't matter, there's nowhere to go. Got to come back to the corral where most people now are finding their succor, their ability to get well. So, again, when you have esophageal, and you're seeing this more and more and more and more. If you haven't noticed, more and more the cancers are coming up here to the top. The body's just breaking down. The center of the body's been breaking down for hundreds of years. Now, it's the extremities. And it's just, taking its toll. So the head area is really messed up in a lot of people. So it's just a big issue that we fight here. And it's part of the tree. The gut wall, the stomach wall, the small bowel wall, the large bowel wall, the esophageal wall, the palate. It's just, this system is everywhere, guys. And so this deals with acids. Acids are the universal poop of cells. So it's just that you have to get out of the body. And it's just that sort of thing. If we were eating what we're natively supposed to eat, high fruits, berries, and melons, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. Even if a person did have some vegetables, so what? But we're having these conversations because man didn't go that way, and now we have to get man back into a shape. If this planet or whatever, it's generally about the soul anyway. Got into raw foods about a year ago, have tried to eat solids like fruit, and have not even tried a salad for about 10 months because it sits in my stomach and then I get really nauseated and stomach pains. Well, I don't know, is this gastroparesis, Tanya? Do you know whether you have gastroparesis or some degree or form of that? That's common nowadays, and with the lymph systems backed up in the wall, they're with the endoscopies and the colonoscopies, they're really not getting the point here. This isn't hydrochloric acid burns. This is much worse, much worse. This is interstitial burns. This is interstitial acidosis burning through the tissue, through the walls. These people are in trouble. And so that's what makes it a little more timely, my dear, in fixing these things, is that this is a bit of an issue. If it was just an ulceration on the stomach, no problem. That's easy. But this is interstitial lymphatic constipation. That's interstitial acidosis, much more difficult, as we talked about earlier in interstitial cystitis. Not easy. Very doable. The fact that it's doable, is a big issue. It might be not the way you want to do it, but it's the only way to do it that I know of. The fact that your foods are just sitting in the stomach is a little bit concerning. I would definitely probably alternate between a liver gallbladder formula, and I'd probably use the capsules on this one, and the pancreatic formula. Now, I tweaked my pancreatic formula. I don't know when we're going to get it in, but I made it more pancreatic. and less blood sugar controls, and I gave a total formula for controlling blood sugars. So that ought to really be good. I put the bitter melons and everything in, so that should be real good for controlling blood sugars. But I wanted a pancreatic formula that didn't deal with just beta cell blood sugar control. I wanted something for the pancreas, so we've got that coming. But that said, I would alternate between those two formulas. At the same time, I'm getting my adrenals, I'm getting my kidneys, I'm looking for sediment, I'm moving that lymph. I'm using GI broom. If you can tolerate it. And if you have to, just go small doses. And your eating is going to have to be this way too, sweetheart. You're going to have to eat small amounts more often. It would not be wise, of course you already know this, to put a lot down there. You already see what's happening. So you need very small amounts more often, and I would super chew. Digest your foods in your mouth first, even if they're fruit, and let them go down that way. At the same time, you're using the herbs to work on these different tissues. But you want to get, because ultimately, the reason you're breaking down is the lymph system. How interesting. We keep going back to this system, but we keep also going back to the door of acids. Hello, Mr. Acid, are you in there? Oh, a whole bunch of you, yeah. So we really got, that's the gig. There's nothing else. You can put like marshmallow and slippery elm and a lot of antacids in the stomach. That's helpful, but we're talking about in the wall, a whole beast of another color. So that's where we really got to get those kidneys going and get that lymph system, get those lymph nodes broken loose. And there's the other concernful thing. You know, years and years of lymphatic stagnation, years hard lymph nodes or deteriorated lymph nodes. That's not good either, so don't get upset. Just realize that acids deteriorate the human body and everything else outside of it too. If you hadn't noticed, we're getting high mutations of fish and frogs and lakes. I mean, you see it all over. It's just high acidosis. I have resorted to juicing veggies, herbs, and fruits. I want to eat watermelon but can't, and so juice. See, she has to juice. So really, hepatic, pancreatic, stomach, lymphatics, you know, really go in that direction and clean those up. I'd even do lymphatic one if you can. You know, with someone like this, I mean, you can get in real trouble like this, guys. So you're going to have a lot of people like her that's really in trouble here. And you got to go real slow, even with the herbs. Even if you just did a little bit of herbs in that stomach, just to get a little healing action, or herbal teas, and you just have to almost chew the herbal tea even. You've got to sometimes go real slow. You're tolerating the juices, which is real good if you can tolerate the teas and herbs, because like, you know, Dr. Christopher used to say, if you throw up, it just makes room for more. Which I did like the old guy's philosophy, and that's it. You know, you really, you got to get everybody woken up and get everybody moving and get those acids moving out of there, because if you don't, nothing's going to change, and it's just going to accept that things are going to get worse. So keep working it. You're doing good. You're doing what you can tolerate, but get into some herbs and herb teas and stuff. Don't get frustrated. I know you are. Let's see. Juice, but really stomach pains and all the way up the esophagus. I know watermelon is really healing, and seems like, well, watermelon is very aggressive. If you guys haven't noticed this already, watermelon is very aggressive. So just remember that, and can accentuate pain. I'll give you that warning. I've experienced that myself. And it's just like red, aggressive, and watermelon, very aggressive there. I know watermelon, let me see here. I am frustrated because I am having problems with it. I do organic and got grapes the other day and loved it and went to do more, but expensive. You might also benefit from the new brain and nerve formula to strengthen the nervous system too, because you could have some paralysis there in that system. Going to pick up those adrenals though and pump those adrenals where you get those neurotransmitters running across those myelin sheaths, you know, and pumping up that nervous system. And you just keep working this, sweetheart. The only way you can do it, need to probably have someone here help you. When you're alone in the woods and you're at this level, sometimes it's a little lonely out there. You YouTubers, help her if you can. Facebook people, but I can tell you, this is one you're going to have to walk. And basically, guys, I want you to remember, when you have a case like her, she's going to have to tiptoe back out of the woods. She's endangered. She's got to tiptoe, or, you know, nothing good comes of this kind of problem, including loss of the stomach and things like this, stomach cancers and stuff. So this is sort of things we've got to walk her out of this this field, and that's all lymphatic, lymphatic, lymphatic. With that said, though, this is right in the digestive tract. It almost puts you down to fasting almost. Isn't that funny? That's how nature is. Puts you down. Makes you do certain things. So all I can say is you're on the right path. I'd get into more herbs. I don't know what you're on right now, but I would definitely go that route, because that's where your help is, not the foods. If you're going to spend money and you had, well, I'm going to buy money, I'm going to either buy herbs or food, I'd buy herbs, because they're foods. See what I mean? You got your nutrition in them, but they have a twist, and that means they're going to get in and help you in a lot of ways. I was thinking that my lymph is totally backed up in the GI. You are a smart gal, and you are absolutely right. I'm going to tell you, you're spot on. Also, pancreas not functioning well? Absolutely, absolutely. And sodium bicarbonate. I think you're right on all the way down the way here. That reminds me, you could do some bicarbonate if it got too painful down there. Pop a little sodium and bicarbonate, aluminum free, of course. But that's why I would work on my pancreas and my liver. Now, what would make the pancreas go down or the liver go down? Same thing, the lymph system. So it's a lymph system, whether it's pancreas, liver, stomach, or all three. And probably is, to a minor degree, all three. Because you can't just have the lymphatic system backed up in the stomach with not having it up in the wall of the gut and the liver and the pancreas. They're all branches of the tree. And up the esophagus, you're already feeling that. So you know you're pretty... So just keep going back up, keep going what you can tolerate. Walking yourself out of the woods, you'll be okay. You've got herbs and a lot of things to help you. You got a great website to help you here, so you'll be okay, sweetheart. Just relax and chew everything. Chew your teas even. Get those enzymes in that mouth on that. And then I would use herbal formulas for those respective tissues. I can afford maybe more than 1 to 2 at a time if needed. Well, we help, so we have a shelf back there with some herbs on, so you might want to get a hold of Drew or something and see if he can help you, and go back on the shelf and see what we have back there to help you. I know we got some kidney formulas and stuff, but whatever we can do to help you, we will. But this needs attention. This isn't something you're going to play around with, dear, and you want to get with it. I know you're working the best you can, but see if we can't help a little more. This isn't, you don't want this to stay around too long. Yeah, I was thinking the pancreatic one, but it's only a tincture in form and not sure about alcohol. I know the kidney and lymph one would be good, and the heal-all, you need to pop up your adrenal glands too. Get your steroids up so your steroids can come help you heal this as well. You know, we use our adrenal steroids in the body to help the healing of the body as well. So it would be something I would do there as well. Why does a raw vegan get gallbladder inflammation on nuts? Well, that's a good question. Here's another eye. Now I'm going to set this eye to the side for your review. Oh yeah, tumor on breast. Why does a raw vegan can lose their gallbladder? Give me a hold there. Let me see. Go ahead, then.
I was going to move it.
Uh-oh, so now we're going to have a big distance. I'm going to have Chris, let me see here if we're still on and honking. Yeah, sounds like we're still recording. So I apologize for that interruption. I guess they had set up a computers to get hooked up differently and no one here to do it. See, we're the only one that the brave souls that trot out into hurricanes and conquer the... Now, why does a raw vegan get gallbladder inflammation on nuts? Isn't it funny how nuts the proteins can just stir everything up? Acids! And they stir everything up. The nuts, I don't know what to say about them. I think they're only meant to be in minute amounts. That's my take on hard shells and stuff like that. So, and a detox, I'll say this. If the oils, there's enough oils in the nuts that you're eating to trip your gallbladder, then you've got a serious gallbladder problem, meaning that your lymph system's probably backed up in the liver and gallbladder. You really got to clean that out. Clean it out for a while, then maybe do a liver gallbladder flush if you want to, or just get on the liver gallbladder herbs, get your kidneys, get your adrenals, get your GI tract, and clean everything up. But nuts always causes pain and stuff. I don't deal with nuts very much anymore at all, to be honest. Just don't. I can't afford to, just too concentrated of a food. Except for coconuts and, like I said, pine nuts are pretty good. But you wouldn't even be able to handle those. You tell you a pine nut or a coconut, you might even have a worse problem with the gallbladder because there are more oils. It's the oils in the nut that's tripping you. And sounds like your gallbladder needs to be cleaned down a little bit. So detox that out and you'll be okay, dear one. Because, and this reminds me of a good question here. How can possibly a raw vegan have this problem? Good question, isn't it? You know what? If you've never dug deep into, and this is where you're seeing a lot of your living the reality of fruits and berries and melons, and at that level to clean your body out. Whether you maintain that level all your life, that's not what we teach or push here. If you do, fine, you'll be one of the few, but okay. It's okay. It's all okay. But you can't just change your diet and expect to visit Wellville. Oh no, it doesn't work that way. You can't just turn into a raw foodist and expect all your problems to melt away, because that's what I thought. Back in the old days, that's all we had. Arnold Ehret, a lot of fasting, grape fast, and you saw all the good results he got. But he wasn't dealing in tissue near as degenerative as we are now. We're a whole nother level away from even Arnold Ehret's time. We need our helpers, and you're going to find the herbs are going to be the powerful things that we have. We cannot allow any government to take our herbs from us. That would be fighting times. Can't do that. Nobody has the right to do that. I don't care how powerful these people think they are. So, it's funny how one person can think he's so powerful that he makes a whole country believe in him. You see that a lot, don't you? See that in our country a lot, too. So, you've got to get deeper than being a raw vegan. You've got to detox and get into the raw fruits, berries, and melons and get into that lymph system and clean that gut. Because if you have a gallbladder problem, could we say that there could be some interstitial lymphatic constipation? Absolutely. So if that is the case, could we say that is also in the case in the gut wall? Absolutely. Could we say the potential's in the pancreas too? Absolutely. Could we say it's in the spleen too? Absolutely. How about the stomach and esophagus like poor Tanya? Absolutely. And this is our problem. Well, it just keeps going up. Wearing the robe, 2012. Yeah. Urgent response needed. Oh man, what's this? All right, now let me start by thanking. Oh, thank you. Thanks for writing this, my man. I have tried the fruit diet for 2 months now and going. I feel the power. I have lost 15 pounds and cured minor ailments I have. I am writing to you today because my mom is very ill and want to know if you could help her recover. Sure. Let's look at it. All right, here we go. 5 years ago, she had the following conditions. Alzheimer's, 1 year. All right, Alzheimer's is not an easy condition to turn around, right? Right, well, what breaks down brain tissue? Acids, right? So we know this is the lymph system, right? Because that's the system that deals with acids. So you got to get your mom's kidneys back in order, because if you'll notice, your mom's got some kidney problems too. I haven't read it, but I can tell you she does. So we got to go to the kidneys and adrenals. Get that lymph moving. Get on the stomach and bowel, GI broom, clean up that bowel, because you want to clean this gut up real good because of the connection it has to the head area. Got to clean this baby and clean the kidneys, get them filtering, because we got to get up here and start moving and drawing. That means everything down below must be cleared away so there can be a path. You got to clear the path. The path is blocked. This is why you have these problems. You got to clear the path. And closer to the kidneys gets cleared first, and cleared and cleared and cleared. I don't believe in the homeopathic thought of that. Watch how detox works. If you detox to 100,000 people, it doesn't take you long to watch how it works, does it? So, Alzheimer's, upper circ, brain and nerve, number 2. Essential issue for those two things. At the same time, you know you're moving lymph. You got to move lymph. You got to do this. Now, we can get deeper into that as time goes on. Muscular dystrophy, lower body only, 30 years. Okay, MD, going right back to the adrenals, getting this autonomic up, get up into the central nervous system. You're up in you got 2 nervous systems, of which really there's 3. So clean them up. Get the brain, get the neurotransmitters up in the adrenals. Clean the lymph out of the muscles. Get all this inflammation out of these tissues. The only way to strengthen a tissue is get the acids out. You cannot try to strengthen tissue, be highly acidic. It would be counterproductive. It would be wrong thinking. It wouldn't be proper. So really, she's got to address this problem. But you see how she's a lymphatic case? Lymphatic case, they all are. Was walking slowly until Alzheimer's came along, so we decided it was best for her to stop due to risk injury. High blood pressure, 10 years. Where can we go with that, guys? Well, remember the 2 types. If her diastolic is always high, kidneys. We know that's going to be a problem anyway in this case, right? How about swinging blood pressure? Wouldn't be a stretch in this case because of Alzheimer's and the like. Right here, cerebellum, wouldn't be a stretch at all. She could have any problem here. She could have both problems. Definitely. So we got to go after that. We got to go after those kidneys, irregardless, because the guy up here is still going after kidneys, because this is controlled by the kidneys. How? Lymphatically speaking. Anemic, 5 years, iron supplements on and off. Adrenals, go into those adrenals. That's your iron. Go into those adrenals. Has only 1 kidney. Oh, well, yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's problematic. Yeah, well, that 1 kidney, I'm hoping the lymph and everything's hooked to that kidney properly, because when it isn't, we've got serious problems. Major lymphedema, obviously. But you got to make that 1 kidney filter. See, she hasn't been filtering. So this is going to be a trip getting your mom back into a state of health, man. But you've got to treat that 1 kidney really, really nice. I'd go a little slow at first with her and get that kidney opened up and filtering and feeling good about itself again. Get that adrenal on top, loving that kidney. Everybody's happy. Everybody's good. Everybody's filtering now and working that way. At the same time, support your mom with upper circ, brain, and nerve. And there's a ton of flower essence and everything else you can use to help her with all kinds of moods and swings and everything else. Make sure her parathyroid is up. Very important that the parathyroid. Look at her fingernails, look at her bones, look at her connective tissue. Does she sag? All these things like that. And then maybe you need to fix those things up too. Due to a death in the family, we were forced to make the hard decision to take her to a residence for care. Well, I don't want anybody out there to feel bad when you have to put your parents or a loved one in some place to help. You know, all these I hate to call them nursing homes, but all these living assisted places like that, they should allow us to come in. You have to talk to the medical doctor that oversees them, but to come in and work on our parents and make them healthy again at the same time where they have adequate care, because Brenda was over an Alzheimer's unit. She's the nurse here. She was over the Alzheimer's unit. one time of a big new fancy nursing home, and it just made me sick to my stomach when she'd come home and tell me all the things that were going on there and what they allowed these people to do to each other. I didn't quite go along with that, but it's a sad state of affairs, and very, very difficult for family members to take care of someone with dementia or Alzheimer's. These are very hard cases, and you can't beat yourself up. We were all been lied to. It's just the nature of the consciousness where you're at on this planet, for whatever reasons. But now you're learning the truth, and now you can do something about it. But you can help your mom, even if she's in a place, and that is you supply this food for her and everything else. If it gets real bad, have a stomach tube put in her. I mean, all these things, there's always a way. There's always a way to try to help save someone and get someone healthy again. So just keep that in mind here. After 5 years there, they have made the situation, no kidding. Well, these are acid pits. We have a lovely couple that that takes care of people like your mom, and they're raw foodists. They're older, and for those that come here to stay, they have places for you as well. They charge more if they have to supply your organic foods, and they will make your juices for you, but you have to pay them for doing it, which would only be proper. And they're not too expensive. But this is where we would take someone like that and have them work on her. They would help her with her supplements or her herbs, and at the same time her foods. Those are the kind of places that we really need all over the place. A commitment of people that will open up their homes and make them into halfway houses or whatever you want to call them, where they can come in and be assisted. The problem with Alzheimer's is you've got a lot of care. That is a lot of care, and it's just friggin' sad. Friggin' sad. She had 10 to 15 urinary tract infections. Well, she only has one kidney. So here's, they treat them acidically in these places, so there's no coming out of them. That's the problem. So you're kind of between a rock and a hard place, man. You got to do your very best here. High blood pressure has stayed the same, anemic the same. Well, they can't fix these things. I mean, don't you all know that by now? The medical doctor, they don't have to yell at me for this. It's just being truthful. They can't cure anything and never have. Removal of tissue is not a curative stance, in my opinion. It's a remedy that's needed by some, no question. I am for surgeries, so don't get mad at me there. I'm for good surgeons. I love them. I'll never talk bad about a good surgeon. They're a blessing in disguise. But that's where the road has to stop. And then those under the surgeon needs to know how to take that tissue he was playing with and restore it to health. Because surgery doesn't restore tissue to a state of health. Haven't noticed? It's a repair job. It's like taking a car into a mechanic. You get it repaired. Now you got to fix all the damage and everything that it took to replace or repair the equipment. So it's the same thing. We're the ones that have to clean up the mess. Always has been that way. And then we get no thanks for it, let me tell you. But who cares? We're God people. We don't need anybody's thanks. We walk with love and respect. Our thanks comes from the deity, comes from God. We don't need to have someone, we're here to give our loves and to be our loves and to show the world these higher levels, because they're one of us. We're all the same, be it a plant, an animal, doesn't matter. Some of them are giving their bodies to help us. There's a lot of things going on here. Plants give their bodies to help us all the time. And love it. Schizophrenia, all right, has lost about 80% of muscle mass in her arms. Well, she's one big acid. 2 to 3 skin breaks out. She's just one big acid, guys. And you just have to turn. If you want to save your mom, you've got to get with the MD that controls this place, and you control her diet. Don't expect a dietitian to do it. That dietitian doesn't see the same way you do. She or he was taught wrong, generally she. And, a lot of the dietitians need a lot of help themselves. If you haven't noticed, during the last year, schizophrenia medication doesn't do a good job of keeping... Well, I don't have to go on here. You know immediately what you got to do. Her parents died at 87 and 91. Sounds like she's got good genes. Their mom is 75 years old. She has 10 years. Well, if she's got those kind of genes, you could pump her up to 20 years, but you got to get in and do something about it. You got to get into her body and help her out that way. And that nursing home or that place she's at has to be on board with you. And big no's, no proteins, no milks, no junk. You're going to handle the diet for your mom. And it could take you a year. Alzheimer's is a rewinding process, and got to get up in the brain. And that place has to know what healing crises are. They have to understand the healing crisis, because you see how they treat her UTIs and stuff with antibiotics, and you see what happens there. Her skin's breaking down. Of course, you're going to see that, so that the cubitus, and it's just on and on and on and on. So you have to get in, roll up your sleeves, and basically change the whole matrix there of how she's being taken care of, dietarily speaking. Do you think it is all possible to get her 90 to 100 healthy? I think she can live that long, and I think you could probably get her consciousness back a lot better and things like that. She's only got one kidney. I've seen miracles. I told you a case. I pulled an old guy out of a nursing home, been in there 2 years, didn't speak anymore, and that was in July. I had him home for Christmas. Don't know. These are tough places. And nobody's on board there with health. So these are tough places to get to. This mother of this man, this wife of this man and his son, frankly, just took control and got their husband and father back. And he was on a feeding tube. We had to go that way first. You elaborate on progressive cases being made by month. When can she regain functionality to eat by herself? You know, I can't tell you any of these things, guys. It's all about how you... All these questions are relative to how you... If they'll work with you, you can get in. If she's got a feeding tube, perfect, then she can't bitch about what you're giving her. Put her right up the tube, herbs and all. Easy to do it this way with feeding tubes. Done it for years. No big deal. When she's more awake, more alive, you can yank the tube and go by mouth. Doesn't matter. You can play both ways for a little while. Doesn't matter. Big thing is getting people on board and somebody controlling what she's consuming. And that's a lot of work if she's out not in the house. So there's just a lot of work with these things. And I understand. It's a mom. It's my mom. So I know. I've been there. I've been there with my mom and my grandmother. I took care of my grandmother till I couldn't take care of her anymore. Couldn't control. You have to expect anything to happen. You can't control that. You get no sleep because you don't know when they're up and roaming, and I mean, it's a nightmare. A friggin' nightmare. It's sad that we have to be in these advanced states. Well, here's one. Oh, this is Monica again with schizophrenia. There you go, sweetheart. I guess I just pulled your thing back off here. So, I recently emailed my case with my irises. I feel stuck in my health journey. A week in on resuming antipsychotics. I'm the schizophrenia case, as per suggestion of doctors and supportive others, because I can't hold down a job. My breasts hurt more. I'm sedated, and I have a whole other myriad of side effects. Thing is, see, this is why people like this, and this is Monica here. People like you, Monica, really we're just not a society that loves each other yet, but you're a person that needs to go into a place like my friends have and let them take care of you for 6 months, and you'll come out a whole different person, where you have time to be and get into yourself. We don't take care of people like that. We just throw them in jail or throw them in a nursing home that has a bad dietitian. It's sad. Things is, I'm guessing I'm still too toxic. Guess so, to remain off of meds or that. But that's okay. You know what? This is where the glandulars can work, and you have to work with your glandulars. You're going to have to grab Monica and help us with this, because you're going to have to work with some of these glandulars, get your adrenals up, get your endos up, and at the same time see how they work with the meds. Get your lymph moving so all this acid comes out. It doesn't have such a negative draw on you. Clean your liver out. You might want to support your liver for a while with all these drugs and stuff. That'll be helpful to you. And you really just keep cleaning these residues out of these drugs and stuff. And at the same time impacting those endocrine glands. You've got to get the endocrine glands working better, or there's just no getting over this that I know of. You can use flower essences. Google Running Fox Farms if she has a website. I'm sure she does. And get on her and look up her flower essences, or ask Brenda about them here. All these flower essences are great. We use them in ERs. We use them in mental health clinics. They're great for in the moment I need some relief from my anxieties or whatever. They're excellent for that. They're like homeopathics. Find the right one, and you got a good symptom treater. At the same time, you're going in and uplift these tissues, and I referenced your case earlier there with this, and but definitely get into those adrenals, parathyroid, thyroid. Did I go over your eyes? Because if I haven't, they're still sitting here, and I've got here's Matt Bell. I don't know who this one is. So I've got quite a few here, Alex, here. But I went over most of them, so hopefully I went over your eyes too, sweetheart. Let me see here. This is Paris Robert, which I'll be going over. Here's Michelle. Well, sweetheart, I think I've probably already gone over them. If I haven't gone over your eyes, look at all the ones we went over the eyes, because I don't have any more here. And I think I've already gone over them. And then we'll take a look more, Monica. I'll leave this. I'll give you a telephone number to Jennifer. If she's got any time. She's working herself to death here. Now, this is from AIMIEHALO. Halo. Halo there. I have one more question. Oh, this is from down below here. Glad to have heard about you. Same here. A friend on Facebook. Facebook people tearing it up, man. You guys are tearing it up all over the place. I'm so proud of all you guys. I just love the fact you're all helping people and getting good results, and it's just great. There's a big learning curve, but I'll tell you what, don't have to spend all your life in school to come out and not know what to do. And this will help you, and you'll know exactly what to do. And we'll keep these up, and we'll have conference calls perhaps, and we'll get into this more. We're doing a level 2 class, I think, next year, which is going to be for those that have been to the level 1, and it's just going to spend just a lot of this time with cases and stuff, which we haven't been able to do in level 1. Get to the cases, and we'll definitely have the iris in the cases as well. Enjoy your vids. Thank you so much, dear. Missed part about chicken skin. Could you elaborate? Yeah. Also, what do you think about raspberry ketones? I'm 63 and have much trouble getting rid of stomach after 3 kids and 2 C-sections. What would you recommend that is healthy? I use blue agave sweetener, sugar ferments in my gut and don't use it. Stevia, can't stand. What do you recommend? Amy, is that it? Anyway. Well, that's that old adrenal belly type of thing. So I get my adrenals going pretty good, get my lymph going pretty good. Clean up that lymph system, get the adrenals up. Go look up at the parathyroid and see if you need. Do you have any postpartum depression? Do you have any fingernail issues, things like that? Spider veins, varicose veins, things that would show that you need to utilize your calcium better and move your lymph. And that'll really help in that case. Raspberry ketones. I don't know what to say. I have one more question. Sometimes my lungs hurt. If I'm in bed, I have to get up. I do not smoke anything and live in a clean air area now. What could be causing this and how can I help it? Oh, well, that's a good question. You don't have to inhale anything like cigarettes or weed or anything. Just breathe the air. This is universal air. It's hard not to have some degree of toxicity in the air no matter where you are. You couldn't go to the Himalayas anymore. But I'll say this. Find you a clean air place and just sit down and practice deep breathing. And I don't know, we've talked about this before, but deep breathing isn't thoracic breathing. When you deep breathe, when you take your first breath, your shoulders should not elevate. Your thoracic spine should not elevate. Your abdominal muscles should protrude. So when you breathe, you want to breathe out from the gut. You want to breathe deep and push the stomach, this abdominal muscle out. So you can lay your hand, I don't know if you can see this, but I have my hand over my colon, just above my belly button, right? And so that's your abdominal muscle across there. Push your hand out by breathing in, not shoulders up, hand out. So when you take your first breath, it should be from the lower abdominal area like this. Then your thoracic, like that. And then you can exhale through the mouth. Breathe in. Your first breath should be abdominally. Now I'm full of air. And keep breathing, pulling that oxygen down in. Even if you just played with your lower breathing. Breathe in low. It breaks the mucus out. It breaks up hardened mucus in the lungs, because you can have interstitial lymphatic constipation in the lungs, which is where most lung cancer is. And you not smoke a thing. This would all be your lymph system. And it doesn't matter what you're smoking. It's acids from your own cells breaking down your lung tissue, causing mucus and everything else. It could be all the mucus from the formulas or the milks when you were a baby. All these things, if we don't get rid of them, they generally hang around for a lifetime. Because in a typical acidic American diet, or all around the world, it isn't just America, it's all around the world, you're not in a detox mode. Matter of fact, most diets create a situation where your body's always defending itself. Your body's always in the defensive mode instead of the more, what's the word I'm looking for? Offensive mode. You know, the problem with governments and everything, people have always been defensive. Now we have to get offensive. Thank you for making it that way. So clean those lungs out. Use lung number 2, 3-lung tea, and help to break this hardened sputum up. And clean your lymph system out, dear one, and you'll be good that way, okay? And then check your parathyroid too, by the way. Oh, this is 32 arms. What's that big doobie he's smoking on there? Are there any herbs for hyperthyroid I may take, and connective tissue? I think I've already addressed that, but as a quick little thing, never give anybody anything for a hyperactive gland. If you have a hyperthyroidism, do not give them anything for the thyroid. Simply detox the body. You're either in, and acids can hyperstimulate any tissue. Any chemical can create that. Inorganic or isolative iodine can do that. Any of these things can do that. It can come from the pituitary. All these can have far-reaching effects. The best way in a hyperactivity case is detox. You don't need to overtouch anything, because if I'm overstimulating the thyroid or making that thyroid work better, and it's already working overtime, that client's not going to like you very well, because that kid could end up into the hospital a little bit. Connective tissue is always going to be parathyroid gland, and you link those two right there. Was real smart of you. You link connective tissue right there with hyperthyroidism, and you're right there in that same parathyroid thyroid area, so you're right where you need to be. I would definitely detox that. Is it possible to have a hyperthyroid and a hypoparathyroid? Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, this is sweet pea, 77333. Those are good lucky numbers. 333, that's a good cycle. Everything's cycled of threes, and you got 77. Sweet pea, where are you from? Because of antibiotics my doctor gave me all the time, I can no longer have sugar. If I have sugar, I get like a fever and itchy, and my throat gets swollen. Look at that. She's so loaded with fungus from that she's really involved here. I am not allergic to sugar yet. I am allergic to yeast. That's because you're full of candida, honey. Get on that Parasite M or some antifungal for a while. Going to want to spend some time on it, and clean that out. At the same time, dear one, get your adrenals up so sugar metabolism will be more effective for you. Get the kidneys up, clean your lymph system, and you'll be through. Sounds like your lymph system's backed up also up in the head area as well. Get to that and clean that out, and that'll really help a lot that way. And remember that refined sugar is bleach, so remember the bleach factor in that too. So I developed a yeast problem, which that's antibiotic use. That's just, and that's why I'm saying sulfa drugs. Sulfa, take a look at that. You'll always see people with orange in their eyes, heavy sulfur, high fungal problems. We always see it. It's always there, and you're no different right here, sweetheart. If you do have sulfur accumulated, I would do the GI broom, clean that gut up real good, clean the kidneys, and then take a parasite M. You might need to take that for 2 or 3 months, and at the same time move those lymphs. You'll get that all cleaned out of you, and you'll be in good shape. You look like you're a young woman, so you have a good life ahead of you there. But get all that cleaned out of you, and you were on antibiotics, obviously, for a lymphatic problem. We generally don't take antibiotics for blood problems. We take antibiotics for lymphatic problems. Blaming those nasty little varmints God made, called bacteriums. Don't need that. You know, and it's funny how they treat everything with antibiotics. Oh, insane. That's all they got. Isn't that sickening? Sickening. And that's after several hundred years. I now only eat meat and vegetables as I have to even stay away from fruit. I'm going to tell you, honey, if you do it, then your way of thinking you will. But if you change your way of thinking, you get rid of that meat. That's not good for you. Stay on your vegetables, okay? Take a parasitic formula, because the only way you're going to be able to go back to, fruits again, you got to go and take care of this fungal problem. Or it doesn't get better. It gets so bad you can't even remember sweet pea's name. So you really got to take care of this fungal problem, and don't blame the fruits. You can get on the vegetables, but get away from the proteins and get those kidneys cleaned up and get your body cleaned out. You got to detox your body. And then you can, little at a time, you'll be able to get back there. Any insights as to how I can get rid of this heat? Absolutely. And I only drink water. I have a very bland diet. I'm Italian and I miss food. Well, you got to get your fungus out of you. There's no question. Yeah, take some time, clean all that out, and then you can go back and have some Italian food and raw foods and have a good life of the both. You know, you're on here to play. The problem is that we've considered our eating habits a form of play and a form of enjoyment, because everything else sucks. You know, and when we start everybody enjoying things and enjoying the beauty of flowers and plants and what we can do with them and everything else, and we start loving each other, diet won't be such a big deal. But right now, the diet's about the only thing pleasurable around. Especially if you go to India and you have all those spices, or any Thai, or... Oh. But it's enough to say, sweetheart, you got to take some time and get your health back here. Definitely going to have to stay on an antifungal for a while and get a hold of this, because you could be saturated with fungus. That's what it sounds like to me. And so definitely go that route. Go down on what fruits you can tolerate, or even the berries like the blackberries and cherries, whatever you can tolerate. Your greens, and use the herbs then to move your lymph better, get your adrenals up, and clean that yeast out of you, and you'll be in good shape. Well, I'm just about at the end, guys. I apologize, but I think we've got through a lot of these. There's just so much here, so much for me to keep up with. King Rill, 78, beautiful picture. King Rill, 78, beautiful picture. I'm 34, in good shape. In '09, I was diagnosed with a parasite in my stomach called H. pylori. So is everybody. Helicobacter pylori. Now, I'm not a fan of pharmaceuticals. No kidding. Say if spelling it off, but use some cat's claw. I'm making another formula for more virals and fungus, and it's got a lot of cat's claw in it, so cat's claw is good for that. You can use our parasite M, throw in some cat's claw, and you'll knock that right out. But again, you got to understand that the problem is more with your stomach and more with your lymph system. That's the problem. Remember, breeding ground. This is the factor that we have to understand and consider is culturing mediums. And I say this over and over. We're all great culturing mediums, but we can't blame the culturer. We got to blame the medium, and that's more spot on. That means instead of being medical thinking and blaming God, let's blame us who's putting down things that don't fit in this body. You know, there's certain foods that are just not harmonious with our physiology. We'd have to get with that. If we have some of those foods once in a while, okay. But if you eat them consistently, you're not going to be good. You're not going to feel good. And your genetics are going to take over, and then down the hill we go. But I took them. It didn't work, and I won't take those again. I know. You know what? And herbal antibiotics are great. Every time, I'll go on. Now today I'm still in pain. That usually ceases with about 2 to 3 grams of medical marijuana a day, but I need a permanent cure. It's very painful at times. This guy must be in California. He sure isn't in Florida. Of course, well, I'll have to tell you, my friend, this goes back to one of the first cases we've talked about today, and that is the gut and the interstitial lymphatic constipation. Again, you're creating an incredible breeding ground interstitially, and this is causing all the pain. This kind of pain, my friend, leads to nowhere good. Back out of here. Get your lymph moving. You're interstitially backed up through the whole gut probably, so you want to get all this out of there, get all that acid out of there and heal all that up. Don't just focus on the bacteria. That's focusing on the wrong thing. You can take care of that with the herbs, but that's not the issue. The issue isn't, that's not what's causing pain. Bacteria, this is the acids, this is the activity that's going on in those tissues. So it's the culturing medium that's the problem, man, and you have to deal with that. You got to get on that lymph system, get the adrenals up, get the kidneys filtering, and it'll all be good for you there. I haven't worked in 2 years. Oh, man. So, and I hate this. So you might want to use the slippery elm, the marshmallow teas, the heal all tea or something like that to help coat that stomach and help with that. At the same time, you want the GI broom, you want the stomach and bowel one. You really want to try to get that through there. Get whatever food you can tolerate there. I'd probably chew real good. I'd stay away from real coarse fiber and really kind of just soothing things. Maybe sip on the heal all tea a little bit. Put smaller amounts in the stomach as opposed to bigger amounts. Smaller amounts more often. Super chew. Minimal digestion preferred. And kind of going that way. Anything that's alkaline, of course, goes down the gut. Absolutely no protein down a gut like this. Holy crap. Wouldn't be advised. You can take the brain and nerve number 2. Has an effect like marijuana. Strengthens the nervous system in that way. Marijuana has a little more of a neurotoxic effect as opposed to a strengthener, but still, a friend of mine in Costa Rica who specializes in detoxification methods for the human body, which I usually tend to agree with him. I'm about to give that a try. Thank you for your time and thoughts on the subject. Damien. Yeah, my friend, yeah, you're going to have to detox yourself. Get in there, get in those tissues deeper and get all these acids out of those tissues and repair the stomach and you'll be in good shape. The herbs will help you work well through this condition and you'll be good in that manner. So right now, I really have to pull off of here. I'm so sorry. I'm so mother's milk by nature. I'm trying to get that mother's milk by nature up there. So we'll see. Shocked when I read your statement. This form is far more nutritive. Oh yeah, let's look at this. This is from Blinkcat00. And she said, I recently discovered that you were releasing an infant formula, and as a breastfeeding mother, I was shocked when I read your statement. This formula is far more nutritive than mother's milk itself and offers more nutrition than mother's milk ever get. Well, the thing is this is true. The thing is, it's got too much nutrition. And that's the, we have this thing in this country, sweetheart, more's better. So I just packed in a blend, but you take your average breastfeeding mother, she's on a high acid diet and everything else. Now, it is true, we have a lot of great raw food mothers that are breastfeeding. Yay, yay, yay. And they're pounding in the nutrition. Those are not the mothers I'm referring to. The mothers that are raw foodists and they're pounding. But again, how's that mother's lymph system? How's that mother's body? How's that mother's digestive system? Her absorption? You have to look at all the factors when you're a breastfeeding mother. Yes, we're going raw. Yes, we need to have nutrition. But a lot of babies are rejecting their mother's milks if you haven't been noticing. So we're seeing, I'll tell you what we're seeing. We're seeing the hepatic and pancreatic problems right in our face. We're seeing that anything that has high fat or protein is being turned down by these babies' bodies. So they're in a little trouble that way because in the earlier stages, they need amino acids and fatty acids. They need that. But we're going to have to change the source of these and keep working and make healthy mothers so they can breastfeed and their their food is optimal. Outside of that, we might have to play a little bit with some state-of-the-art formulas. Outside of that, these other formulas that are on the market, the Ensures, the Pedisures and stuff, their consciousness, their thinking is way out of line. High fat, high protein, and so many babies, and we gave you one early on that was terminated by the AMA doing this, and there's a lot of them being terminated because you must have these formulas, you must have it. Oh, really? These doctors don't even care less. They don't even watch the kids. They don't even know the kids are having problems with them. You still take them. Ugh. So it wasn't meant to insult any females for sure in terms of breastfeeding, is you got to start looking at the quality of breast milk and what's going on with our babies. And that's problematic because we should all be breastfeeders. Just a serious problem that we're having, but we have to start taking, the mamas have to get their bodies back in shape and everything like that. And remember, your milk is going to be a byproduct of your dietary habits and how many mothers are raw or high fruit diets. And notice that it's the fruits that you can only use to rebuild man's nervous systems. Isn't that interesting? Yet we have babies. Why would you not have babies on fruits? Because what needs to develop in babies? Brain and nervous system. It's not all just fatty acids. The fruit, you notice and you see the MS case. We're going to throw, when we feel everything's good, you'll see a lot more cases up on there, and you're going to see what we're talking about here of fruit and the nervous system. So let me see here. It's far more pamphlet. Please excuse my layman argument, but is it not true that scientists have yet to identify all components of breast milk? Probably. I wouldn't doubt it, sweetheart. They haven't probably found the components of everything yet. You know, you have to understand, we're just now understanding some of the active principles in the herbs, given this 20th, oh, no, it's 21st century, right? Someone needs to tell Biden that. Has to wake up to what century he's in. So it's just not been a statement meant to insult anybody. If that's what you're considering here, it is a statement of fact. You have to take a look at this. We deal a lot with this here, and this is what we see all over the place. So that's the problem. Is we got to get mamas healthy. We got to get their lymph systems healthy, and take a look at babies coming out of mamas. Look at their lymph systems. And I look at babies' lymph systems, and this is what we're facing. Like mama, like baby, you know. And so getting mothers healthy is very, very important to do that. Don't feel insulted as a mother because you need to have good breast milk for your children. That's all. You know, we're not trying to change breast milk for formulas. That's what CARES did, remember, down in the Honduras. That's not what we're about. We're about, if you're going to feed your baby formulas, we want the best you can get because our babies are in trouble. So we have to rethink how we're taking care of our infants now. Everything has to be considered, genetics and everything else, lymphatics. You have to consider neurologicals. We have to consider this because babies are going down everywhere. And St. Jude is getting a longer kill list. So just get aware of these things. This is not an insultive thing here. I would never insult that. Let's not yet have to identify components of breast milk function, therefore it would be impossible to improve upon them. Well, there's only so much in chemistry in nature too. And when you're consuming the right chemistry and you have a clear body, then your body can adapt and change chemistry. But, you know, we've examined breast milk and a lot of things for a lot of years, so we know most of that stuff actually, honey. What we don't know a lot about is the botanicals and the herbs there. And then, of course, and you're right on about one thing, there is a lot of theories in biochemistry, absolutely. And so there's, this whole ionization process and the whole conversion processes, and the whole pH balances and the whole zeta potential process, the whole 9 yards. Yeah, we don't know a lot about it. But my thing is about the health of the mother, the health of the milk, and what's going on with mothers that are breastfeeding, and we really need to take a real good close look at that. We've seen this for years here. We've been working with babies. I've been working with babies my whole 40 years. So it's not something I'm just throwing out in the sun. I wouldn't have a need if I could just say, well, as a woman, you just breastfeed, you wouldn't need a formula. That's not going to get it. If you're a woman and you haven't noticed, there's a lot of women that can't breastfeed anymore, a lot of infants rejecting breast milk. You see it all over the place. So I don't know if you've been privy to that or not. So how is it that you can make the above statement? I agree that most modern day mothers are highly acidic and are passing on mucus forming breast milk. I witness it myself daily as my infant daughter's irises fill with a white mucus haze. However, surely you are not suggesting that your formula be utilized in place of breast milk. Well, you weren't listening. Okay? Listen. All right? Surely you know that the composition of milk changes as the baby grows. Listen. That all being said, your milk formulation does look superior. It is superior, dear. It is. Health coach student, Laura. Absolutely. And if you've been seeing these babies like we have, you see what I'm saying is nothing but the truth, dear. And we just have to get the mamas healthy and eating the right foods if you want to get the milk God intended for the body to make. And if that's true, and we're frugivores, guess what foods the mother should be eating to make good breast milk? Why would you be eating outside of that when your body isn't designed to eat outside of that? You got to pull all these factors in and take a look at this. And so I'm just trying to save all these kids and have a good formula for these kids, because we see a bigger reality than what's going on there. So, but we would never, matter of fact, we'd like to see all mamas breastfeed, but mothers must be healthy to breastfeed, and that'll make healthy babies. The problem is our babies are so genetically compromised, we're in a struggle here. So all I can tell you is that we all work together. Nobody's trying to imply that mom is not breastfeed or anything like that here. That would be an accusation you weren't listening. We definitely want everybody healthy and on board, and our babies in particular, because they are the future for this planet. A lot of us aren't going to be around on the planet. We're just here to stay. This is just information. We're just here and touching base and leaving. So anyway, you all get well. You all keep your love up, your spirituality up. I think most of you have a good idea who I am, and so you don't have to ask questions like that I would make a statement that women shouldn't breastfeed. But women, you've got to get your health back. You got to get your glands up, because we're passing too many genetics. We're overpopulated. We have a problem. We have to stop and reassess the human race. And don't get mad at these things. Your ministers, your priests, and your preachers should have been already warning people and talking to people about this and helping us. We are a planet here of Homo sapiens that the Health World Organization would like to get rid of. Remember that? Remember the World Health Organization thinks we're 90% overpopulated? What does that mean to you? And you talk about an organization that has as much power and control over chemicals and everything that the World Health Organization does, and they make a broad statement like that. Is that not scary? So all I can say is that everybody work together here. You all find your love today. Give all the love you can. Be all the love you can. Get your bodies healthy. Get your kids healthy. And try to get your mom healthy there, guys, if you can. Everybody work together. Nursing homes work together. Everybody works together for the health of everybody. The problem is we have to wake up to the fact that we're not healthy. You all have fun today. I'm going to write this up, get this up to you as soon as possible, and I hope it finds and helps some of you as good as it can. All I can tell you is that we're all here for the same cause, guys. We're all here for the same thing. Love you all. Bye-bye now.